Hey guys, have you been working in your PDM vault and you want to sync up your revs easily so that you end up with all the revs kind of in the same shape? Well, today's Q-tip is for you. One of the things that we've learned as PDM admins is one of the challenges you've run into is finding revisions on drawings, parts, assemblies that are sometimes out of sync, or after they've come back from an edit state, they end up with the wrong rev. Like it went into the edit state at Rev A, but when it comes out of the edit state, it's at Rev G, and we're not really sure what's happened here. And so I like to implement in some vaults for just the cleanup purposes is just really a Rev Bump. You know, you can do a +1 or a -1 to get the rev to where it needs to be. Like, notice, for example, we've got revs that are dash A, B, A, all scattered here and there. So this Q-tip assumes that your revisions are being managed by the workflow, and that means that you're not doing a right click on the file and going up to modify and then set revision. The set revision is sort of a special command because it's intended so that you can do your releases without actually using the workflow. You can just use one state and then just stamp your revs whenever you're ready. That's a manual. What we're talking about is when you're doing the automatic revisions through the workflow, going through engineering, design, review, and then release. And then when you release, that's when you get the stamp in the history, and that's when you get the rev counter rolled to the next revision. All right, so in this workflow, one of the things that I've found is that if I sort by these and I want to set them all to, let's go to B. All right, so I'm at Rev dash, my revision structure inside my administration tool. Let's go to administration tool. And let's take a look at the revisions here so that we can see the structure. Under the revisions, we've got these components. We've got alpha revision numbers, numeric values, and then we've got this other one here. So if we take a look at the alpha revision component, the first one is a dash. So the alpha revision component starts with a dash, then it goes into the A, B, C, D, E, following the ANSI standards, avoiding I, O, Q, S, X, and Z. So our next revision after the dash is going to be the A, and then they'll follow with the B. And I want to get all of these to B before I go to release, because my workflow tells me that we are in engineering design, and then we're going to go to pending release and then released. One of the things I like to enter into the workflow is this +1, +2, -1, or even -2 with an automatic return, so that you send it out, bumping the rev, and then sending it back. Let's take a look at how that works, and then I'll get into the details of what it's actually doing. So all these dashes, I'm actually going to bump them twice to go from dash to B. And then these A's, I'm going to bump them once to go to B. So let's go ahead and grab those. And again, if you've got metadata and you use details, then you can actually sort by metadata on your data card. There's a nice hint for your users. Right click, change state, and then we're going to do the +2. And in the comment, I'm always going to put in there something that's going to be helpful for me later. Sync rev to B. That's a very helpful tool. It's something that is, I'm actually going to do the +2 transition. And then whenever I do the transition, it will set all of these to B. Pause for a break for a nice cup of joe. Play with my Proto Labs mold. Communicate with my buddies down the hall. Hey, what's going on? Did you see that in the break room? Man, they got donuts. Okay, we're back here at Rev B, and those are all jumping from a dash to a B. We still have these at A. Now, let's just take a quick break and go ahead and jump these up to the B as well. This time, we're just going to do the +1. We've gotten all the revs synced up to B, and if we were to take a look at any one of these files in the history, we're going to be able to see that these were all just transitioned through the Rev Bump, and then they were transitioned back. So it's really just a quick little jump out and jump back, bumping the revision along the way. So this rev, where we bumped it to, let's take a look at what's happening. This state, engineering design, has a revision of the alpha revision component, and then at the state, we're going to increment by 1. That's if we use the set revision, but we're not going to do that. So the Rev Bump uses alpha revision component as well, and it's set to revision by increment by 1. So I don't actually use the increment at the state. Since we are automating the revisions through the workflow, I'm actually running the revisions through here. So let's take a look at the +1. The +1 on the revision numbers is set to increment by 1, and then update set rev on the data card. So it's going to actually change the rev on the data card just so that what we see is up to date. Because one thing that we found is that anytime you're in an engineering design state, some designers will check out the drawing or the part or the assembly, copy it outside of PDM, or take a copy that they've already got of that one, make changes to it, and then copy it back in. But that revision on the custom properties in the SOLIDWORKS file outside PDM may be different. And so when it comes back in, it will change the revision property, the custom property, which then updates the data card. And then you're as an administrator, you're thinking, how did that change? That's how it changes. So always keep an eye out for that. One thing I like to do is anytime I'm leaving an edit state, to go ahead and set the rev on the data card back to what PDM says the rev is, because PDM is the source. So we set the rev on the data card, bump the revision increment by 1, and then on the +2, we will do a increment by 2. Now you can use this with the +1, 2, 3, 4, or you can even go minus if you want to decrement. So let's take a look at that one. The -1, if you were to look at the revision numbers here, we've got an increment by -1. And then we set the rev on the data card again. And that will take care of bumping the revision up and down on the PDM side. What we're doing is we're tinkering with the revision counter inside PDM that we don't see, we keep track of there inside PDM, and then we're updating the variable on the data card to what PDM says the rev is going to be. And then the automatic return is really just an automatic, it's just an automatic transition sending the file back. We don't do anything with it, but if you wanted to, you could go ahead and add an action here to ink revision, and that will actually stamp it to the history where you get that red check mark in the history that shows that the revision has changed, a special character. But it's also, what that's doing is it's officially incrementing the revision counter on the PDM side so that you're rolling to the next available number. All right, so I hope today's Q-tip's been helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and believe in the Q.